Hey, greetings. My name is Coach Mark, and as a educational consultant, motivational speaker, as well as transformational coach, I know the power of learning and sharing those learned experiences with others. I recently had the opportunity to travel to South Africa, Johannesburg, and Cape Town. And here are the top 10 things that I learned on my vacation.
All right, here we go. Number 9 of the things that I learned in South Africa. All right, so one of the things that I learned in visiting South Africa is the rich languages that they have accessible to them in South Africa. So, you know, each tribe or each tribe has a native languages. So they have formally adopted, or in their law, constitution, however you want to put it, that there are 11 languages that are recognized in South Africa. 9 are native to the origin of the tribes and so forth, and then 2 of them are not. And that's what I really want to kind of linger in, and this is what I learned was so eye-opening. So English is one of the languages, and then Afrikaans is the other language outside of the native languages. So Afrikaans is originally known as Kitchen Dutch. There we go, those Dutch again. It's considered, this is how they characterize it: dirty, lower in prestige, reserved for speaking with domestic servants and slaves. So this Afrikaans language was created to be the patois, if you will, the language of the commoners, the low class, the low end, and the slaves. This is how you communicate with them. Then you had English. English, when it was introduced in the 1820s, this is the 4th most common language. Now, when you talk to most Africans, speak English and don't feel any type of way as it relates to English, because they feel like it's more so a global language, and it means mobility and opportunity. So they welcome the opportunity to have English and to learn English. But Afrikaans, that language is the language which is closely associated with apartheid, and of course separation, divide, all of those different things. And it's, you know, from our research, it's a mixture between German, English, and Dutch. So it's like a merging of those 3 languages, and they created Afrikaans. Now, this is where it gets really tricky, is because in 1974, there was a law called the Afrikaans Medium Decree, which forced all black schools to use Afrikaans and English in equal terms as languages of instruction. Now, think about this. What I'm trying to tell you, or what they were saying with this, the passing of the law, is that we're going to make these 2 languages the languages that you can only teach, negating all of the rich languages that you own. Remember, there's 9 other languages that we're just going to exclude because we want you to adopt our white languages. You didn't hear that from me. I don't make the news. I'm just reporting it. So what happened was, as you know, this law was passed, these Africans or blacks, they had problems with it because they wanted they preferred English because of the use of commerce and so forth, and they want to use their indigenous African language, you know, their native languages. Students began to protest and said, we're not going to do this. And this is where it began to get horrific. A bunch of high school students began to walk out of their schools, began to protest. Other students began to join with them, and they protested this forcing of using these only 2 languages. Well, this ended up, take all of those things that we saw in the civil rights movements with Dr. King in the 60s, where dogs were unleashed, where people were killed, where they were beaten, and so forth. That happened in South Africa with kids. And so, because it was kids, it began to step out of South Africa and began to get national awareness of this. Not as much as it should have, but it was getting national recognition. And even the white Africans were like, wait a minute, this is a little bit too much. This even led to the massacre in 1986, where approximately, we don't know the exact number, but approximately 26 kids were murdered by the police, and over 60 of these students were hurt. And so from that, it pushed, and they were like, listen, this can't go on. And that did get more national recognition, and now they were able to rescind that law. And so now they have districts similar to what we have here in the U.S. And in each district, they learn their native languages, as well as they use their native language as well as English as what they teach in those schools. So black folks can't just win wherever we go. We struggle. I feel like Miss Sophia on The Color all my life I had to fight. We had to fight all our life. I mean, they killing babies over languages because they're trying to force us to speak the language not our native language. Anyway, so that's what I learned in South Africa. All right.